Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called America's Overwork Obsession. Okay, scary, but let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. So if you're able, please consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron. The less you eat, drink, and buy books, the less you go to the theater, the dance hall, the public house, the less you think, love, theorize, sing, paint, fence, etc., the more you save. The greater becomes your treasure which neither moths nor rust will devour, your capital. The less you are, the less you express your own life, the more you have.
Oh my God.
The greater is your alienated life. The greater is the store of your estranged being. Everything which the political economist takes from you in life and in humanity, he replaces for you in money and in wealth. All passions and all activity must therefore be submerged in avarice. The worker may only have enough for him to want to live, and may only want to live in order to have that.
Oh my God.
These words, penned by Karl Marx in 1844, are no less true today than they were 170 years ago. And nowhere on earth do they ring more true than in the United States.
Yes.
As the wealthiest nation on earth, the US enjoys the privilege of looking down on the rest of the world as, quote, less successful. Our people basking in the light of glorious American exceptionalism. What we fail to realize is that our concept of success is not only narrow and short-sighted, but also fundamentally opposed to human flourishing.
And not just that, but not everyone lives like that.
Population as a whole may enjoy more wealth than some of our peer nations, but at what cost? Our waking hours are consumed by work, our life expectancy is on the decline, we rate poorly in metrics like happiness and job satisfaction, and those of us in the workforce today will never achieve the financial stability of our parents' generation. In this episode, we're going to attempt to divorce the notion of success from the dogged pursuit of the accumulation of capital. Let's start with the core belief that animates many American workers, the idea of the American dream. A sort of national ethos, the philosophy of the American dream can be summed up something like this. Everyone has the opportunity for prosperity and success, regardless of their background and based solely upon their ability or achievement.
That's not true, because those things definitely do impact how you move on in life.
It's very much a pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality, a phrase which is also very common in American life. The idea that one should be able to succeed without any external help, solely through one's own force of will and hard work. This notion is, of course, absurd, and is made even more ridiculous by the fact that the phrase has been adopted by so many in a manner completely opposite to its original meaning. To pull yourself up by your own bootstraps is obviously impossible, and that was the original meaning of the phrase, to attempt something that is completely absurd. Of course, in America, nothing is impossible, so we refitted the expression to better suit our dogmatic obsession with self-reliance. America is an interesting case study, because unlike many other countries, when settlers first arrived here, there seemed to be an endless expanse of land to explore and claim. This frontier lifestyle gave birth to the restless nature of the American dream. One governor noted in 1774 that the Americans forever imagine the lands further off are still better than those upon which they are already settled. He added that
the grass is always greener on the other side.
If they attained paradise, they would move on if they heard of a better place farther west. This sums up the
And the west part is definitely like the gold, like the fever for the gold that they, like, when they sort of like did the whole conquering of the west part of the United States.
American relationship to work pretty well. What we have is never enough. We need to accumulate more and more wealth, never satisfied, ever striving. Over the last couple centuries, the American dream has evolved into what we see today. Work hard, save money, send your kids to college so they can live a better life than you did, retire to Florida. In a lot of ways, this is a noble goal. The desire for your children to live a better life than you did is what we should expect of ourselves. But more recently, over the past 50 years or so, the benefits of hard work have been stripped away, and the things older generations took for granted have all but disappeared. Jobs are harder to find and pay far less money than our parents were paid for comparable positions. Pension plans and retirement benefits are rarely offered these days. We have some of the worst vacation and parental leave options in the world. Much of the economy has shifted to gig work, which doesn't have to provide health insurance or any other benefits. And domestic and global perception of the US is on a decidedly downward trajectory. But don't just take my word for it, let's look at a few statistics. Back in the 1960s, only 20% of American mothers worked. This was partly due to the perceived role of the mother as the primary homemaker and caretaker, but it was also largely because most households only needed one source of income to provide a financially stable and upwardly mobile life. Today, 70% of American children live in households where both parents are employed. Most families simply can't get by on a single source of income. At least 134 countries have laws that cap the maximum length of the work week. The US does not. In the United States, almost 86% of men and over 66% of women work more than 40 hours per week. You've probably heard that Japanese workers are some of the most overworked in the world.
Yeah.
The average American works 137 more hours per year than the average Japanese worker.
What?
We work 260 more hours than the British. We work 499 more hours than the French.
Oh my God.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, productivity of the average American worker has increased by 400% since 1950. If we're producing value at 4 times the previous rate, that would mean we could earn a comparable living to our grandparents in 1/4 the work hours, right? Obviously, that's not the case.
Yeah.
We're working longer hours at a drastically increased rate of productivity, but we don't benefit from that labor.
No.
Well, at least we're rewarded with generous vacation and parental leave.
No.
Oh, wait, no. We have the worst rankings in the developed world, and worse rankings than many third world countries. Among 41 studied nations, the US ranks dead last in terms of paid parental leave. We are the only nation out of those 41 that does not mandate some amount of paid parental leave. For
That's
comparison,
crazy.
the smallest amount of paid leave required by the remaining 40 nations in the study is about 2 months. 2 months of paid leave in the US is unfathomable. In 34 of the 41 countries, some of the leave is allocated for new fathers. There's
Yeah.
a reason we only ever hear the phrase maternity leave in the US, and that's because new fathers are never eligible
It's
for
unheard
leave
of.
in order to spend time with their child. Some countries that rank higher than the US include Mexico, Greece, Croatia, even our fellow workaholic Japan. Estonia offers 86 weeks of paid parental leave.
That's
Again,
a lot.
the United States offers nothing. There are 0 industrialized nations on Earth that don't have a mandatory option for paid parental leave, except the US. Vacation and sick time is a similar story. We don't have a federal law requiring paid
No.
sick days, nor do we have a law mandating paid annual leave. Once again, making us the only industrialized nation not to do so. Take a look at this graph.
crazy.
You might notice there's a bar missing. That would be the United States, not
no.
mandating any paid leave whatsoever.
That's
It's
embarrassing.
especially depressing when you realize that a McDonald's employee in Norway gets more vacation time than just about any American worker, regardless of field or salary. Meanwhile, in the United States, we abuse our low-paid workers and lambaste them for being lazy and not finding a better job.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that our citizens consistently rank poorly for happiness and job satisfaction. They're being worked to death, are not offered any benefits, get no time off, and on top of that are abused for trying to earn a living.
Yeah,
What's
it's
perhaps
dire.
more disappointing than wealthy older people deriding low-paid workers is other workers in precarious positions doing the same. For example, take gig economy workers. While some of them are fully aware that their occupation is based on their own exploitation, there's a disappointing subset of people who buy into the notion of, quote, hustle culture. You'll see these people make inspirational Instagram posts, posting images of Jeff Bezos, using hashtags like rise and grind, and going on about how the key to success is to work all day every day until it pays off. Here's the thing. For these people, it will never pay off.
Yeah.
Deifying rich people who accumulated their wealth by exploiting others or inheriting
Yes.
vast sums of money doesn't make you smart, it means
Correct.
you've bought their propaganda.
Yes.
If you drive 15 hours a day for Uber, you might make a bit more money, but you don't have any opportunity for advancement. You're not suddenly going to get health insurance or vacation time because you're working hard.
Yeah.
You're a piece of equipment to them. You drive the car, you make them money.
Oh my
That's
God.
all you're worth to Uber. But this
Tough pill to
toxic
swallow.
idea that we need to give up hours, days, years of our lives as a sort of sacrifice to appease the gods of success is not only misguided, it's actively throwing away your life. Hustle culture destroys your work-life balance, and those who engage in it see themselves as morally superior to people working traditional jobs for a wage.
Well, that
These
sucks.
sorts of false divisions among the working class are exactly what the ruling class wants.
Yeah, of
the
course.
same is true of the false division between the working class and the so-called middle class. It's a meaningless distinction designed solely to make more comfortable workers feel superior to their lower-paid counterparts, and therefore at odds with their own best interests. If you feel superior to others, or see yourself more like the billionaires than your fellow workers, you'll never organize against your oppressors
Yeah.
because you believe you might one day become part of this upper echelon.
You're on top.
If you just work a few more hours per week, surely you'll be rewarded and gain entrance into their elite club. America's cult of overwork destroys our collective imagination. It removes every possible motivation beyond the desire for the accumulation of more wealth. To many
Yeah.
Americans, there is nothing but work and the possibility of eventual reward. Work is the only thing that matters. But there is so much more to life than what capitalism has conditioned us to pursue.
Of course.
If we worked fewer hours, we could take time to spend with family and friends. We could learn that hobby we've been putting off for years. We could write novels, produce art, create things that enrich the lives of others on a fundamental human level. We could take time to just exist. When was
Yes.
the last time you just took a day to relax and you didn't feel guilty about it? We're so conditioned to believe that we should always be working that even
Yes.
when we're not working, it's all we can think about.
Yeah, you think about
The
this.
American dream, the obsession that anyone can, quote, make it if they work hard enough, is thoroughly tangled up with the notion of American exceptionalism. We think it's because we work so hard that we are exceptional. And you know what? We are exceptional. We're the most overworked population on the planet.
Yeah,
Our
in a good
standard
way.
of living is going down. Our life expectancy is going down. We don't get vacation days, sick days, or time to spend with our newborn children. We're increasingly unhappy. Our economy is teetering on the brink of the worst financial crisis in modern history. We're so conditioned to believe that we always need to be working. And somehow we still believe that the American dream is a reality. So yes, we
It
are
isn't.
exceptional, but we're exceptional in all the wrong ways. If we don't dismantle the oppressive structures that enable this culture of overwork, this is the only form of American exceptionalism that will ever exist. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this kind of content is supported by my patrons on Patreon. This type of video, while very important, is something that sponsors won't touch. In order to pay the bills and keep this channel running, I rely on AdSense revenue, sponsors, and donations from generous viewers. If you enjoy the kind of videos I'm producing, and you're able to chip in even $1 a month, I would greatly appreciate the support. You can find my Patreon page at patreon.com/secondthought. Every tier comes with Discord benefits for our new and growing Discord server. You can check out my previous episodes by clicking the links on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, yeah, this great video. I think like it's sort of like it's a harsh reality that, you know, because he like had some harsh words, but it's like, yeah, well, that's actually the reality. I think what he said, like that last part about like workers, like the sort of like the big guy, the big company, the big boss, like they are actively sort of like, well, I don't know if actively, but they do benefit from those sort of like ruptures that create between like the sort of like, I don't know, the general manager or, you know, those positions of that are like maybe a little bit higher than the ones from like the medium worker, average worker. Because they feel, you know, if you feel like you're like maybe in a better position, like let's say, I don't know, you have like a position as an, you know, the supervisor, like the worker supervisor or something. So you feel like a lot of people do feel like, oh, I'm better than the worker itself. Like I don't know, like Amazon, like I know the ones that are working like in those big like warehouses, probably like the supervisor, and I'm talking just generally, obviously not all of them, but I think a lot of people may feel like, oh yeah, so I'm better than them, and because I'm better than them and I'm like hustling and I'm grinding, I'm eventually gonna get promoted to, I don't know, I'm gonna keep climbing up, you know, the ladder. Eventually I'm gonna have like a position of like a cushy like desk job, and then eventually I'm gonna have like enough money to like retire at, I don't know, 50. That's not gonna happen. Like that's certainly like that's not the case. Because again, those like the big companies, they're not, no, I'm not saying like, oh, you can't like climb in your company and you can like do better and get promotions. Yes, of course you can. But when it comes to like those bigger companies, and I'm talking specifically about those like companies, not just like smaller businesses or just like smaller industries in general. Like I'm talking about like the big, like those are the big fish. Like those, you're not gonna be like Bezos. Like you're not gonna be that. You're not gonna be, I don't know, who's like, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg. You're not gonna be one of those guys just because. And obviously they're trying to like feed into the belief that, oh, if you work hard enough and if you like put on your hours and you go like the extra mile, you go beyond what is expected of you when it comes to like working hours, then eventually like you're gonna be, you know, the big boss, and then all those people are gonna be like below you and you're gonna be earning so much money. It's like that's not really the case. The ones in position of power, like they're not giving up like their jobs that easily. So it is kind of like pointless at the end of the day for you to be like, oh yeah, sure, like if I grind, if I work hard enough, like this is gonna happen to me. No, that's certainly not the case. But I think the American culture like does really is based on that of like, oh yeah, if you grind hard enough, if you put in the hours, like you're gonna be rewarded, which you will not, sadly. I think like maybe there was a point in time where that was the case. I think like obviously they hold like, oh, you pull up yourself by your bootstraps and all that mentality. I think maybe at one point in time that was the case, and it was like the United States, well, America's like as a nation, like probably that was possible. That's why obviously they got like so many immigrants, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, it's the land of the free," and it really was, it is a nation formed by immigrants that really did came from almost, I'll say not all of them, but a lot of people just came from nothing and sort of like they built an industry over there. They built a country, which yes, I mean, on one hand that's true, but that hasn't been true in like 400 years. The ones that were able to like benefit from that system was like, yeah, because it was like a lawless land. There was nothing there. Like it was a different lifestyle, a different society, a different world. Like I'm talking like 400 years ago. So that was, of course, that was the case. And when it came like the whole like the like early mid to 1800s, it was the same thing. Yeah, sure, like life was very different back then. So yeah, people came from nothing and they were actually able to build something like from nothing. And yes, of course, they were able to do so. Not everyone, of course, but I think it was like back in those days. I think it was even up to like, I don't know, the 1900s, like probably early 1900s. It was still relatively easy to sort of like come, and you come to a country, or you're like the fifth of 10 children, and maybe you're able to actually like build something out of it, and you work hard enough, like maybe you were able to like get your own plot of land, and maybe like you grew something, because obviously those were the type of jobs that were available to you back then. And it was something that, yeah, you can actually do measure up to something and have something of your own, and then you'll be good by the standards. Like I'm going to have enough money to support my family, and I'm going to have, I'm going to have a plot of land, which was seen as, the greatest, like the pinnacle of success. So yes, and I think that mentality obviously like helped, in actually in not introducing, but probably in perpetuating this mentality of like, yes, you can come from nothing, because like if you're poor, or you come from like a big family, or you're immigrating to the United States, like all of those things, like it's the land of like what's possible. Like you're able to do so. And it was probably true up to a certain point in history. But now, it hasn't been the case for at least like, I don't know, 60, 50 years. Probably I'm lowballing it. Probably it's a little bit longer than that. It hasn't really been the case, because no, the ones that amassed wealth are gonna be like there. It's still elite, and obviously they want to keep the money for themselves. And also, I think like life is just very different. Society is very different. Like the types of jobs that are available have changed. The cost of living has gone up. Not everyone, like farming is not what it was like back in those days. Obviously, we have like so many types of jobs available, so many different industries. And there's just more people in general fighting for the same sort of like, you want to be on top, but on top, sadly, it's just like a small percentage of the population, and you're not going to make it there. So it is a little bit of that, of like, yeah, sure, maybe at one point it certainly was the case, but it really isn't the case, and hasn't been the case for like at least like 2 generations, even 3 generations ago. Which is like a crazy thing to say, because yes, like look, my life moves like really, really quick. But I do think there's a sense, especially I think for older people, like grandparents, and just, probably again for like 2 or 3 generations ago, of like, oh, again, if you work hard enough, like you're doing poorly, you're not able to like to own a house, or I don't know, like to progress in your job, or you're not able to find a job just because you're not working hard enough. Because it was true up to a certain extent for them, but it's like, no, they don't really understand that life is just like very different in this day and age. It's like, no, it was easy for you just because cost of living was lower. And like they said, like back in those days, I think it was like 1960s, like people and families were able to sustain themselves on just one salary, which is practically impossible right now. Like it would be impossible for like a couple to be like, oh yeah, sure, you're staying at home, and I'm gonna go out and work. Like, no, it's not gonna be enough, because you're not earning enough money. And those people do exist, but it's a smaller percentage. So it's like, no, it's not the average, it's not the medium, and so both people have to work, because again, it's like that kind of lifestyle is just not feasible anymore. And those people are like stuck in that era of like, no, it's because you're not working hard enough. So you have to like you have to grind harder, and you have to like keep working, keep making an effort. It's just because, no, you're never going to be able to do this. Like you're just going to work yourself to death, and you're never going to achieve like owning a house, something like owning a house, or like, I don't know, creating your own company, or whatever type of goals you have, if those are like the type of goals you have. And there's also, I think, like the same sort of like mentality that also tells you like, oh, you have to like amass wealth, and you have to like have a lot of money. and you have to like keep working, and it's like, yeah, but okay, so what good does it make me if I have like enough money? Because again, you're never going to have, that's the reality, you're never going to have like this huge amount of wealth. So you're just going to be overworked to death, and you're not going to have enough money to, again, to like buy whatever, like a penthouse or something. No, you're not going to be able to do that. So in the end, at the end of the day, like that's sort of like pointless. But also, like, what's the point if you just want to like get rich and you just like want to have more money? More money, like for what? Like for some, to have it like in the bank? Like you're not gonna be, what is it gonna be? Like a bunch of coins, a bunch of money in the bank, and you're not gonna be able to enjoy it? Because if you're constantly like, again, working and working and working, when are you going to enjoy like the actual like the supposed like perks of your job and the amount of like wealth that you have supposedly accumulated? Like it's not, like they said, what was the last time like you actually, I don't know, you took a vacation or you actually enjoy like the money that you have? It's like, well, yeah, that's on one hand, some people, that's definitely true. Others are like, no, seriously, I do not have, like, my salary doesn't really allow for me to like take a vacation, or because again, they want you overwork and you have to like work a bunch of hours. So I can't actually like afford to take a vacation because I would have to leave my job. So it is a combination of like a lot of factors that made it so that life is just like, oh my god, if you look at it like this, instead of like everything's on the brink of collapse, like it's society that seems to be on the brink of collapse. I don't know, like I probably, that's really not the case. I'm just like looking at like the theory of it all, and in practical reality, it's just like another different matter. No, it's not. It's not the brink of you're not on the brink of collapse. But just looking at the statistics and again, and how the information is sort of like being provided, you're like, oh my god, this is going to collapse at like any second now. Which I know, again, like it's really not the case, but it really makes it seem so that we like something has to change. But I don't know if enough. Like what would be like the sort of like the catalyst for change? I don't know. Like it's good for videos like this that actually inform people, but I think like it's really hard to get out of like that mindset of work, grind, and I actually understanding that again, if you're like, doesn't really matter how much you work, like this is not going to, you're not going to be able to achieve those goals if your goal is to like become the next, I don't know, like the next millionaire. Like that's really not gonna happen. That's just like chances are like 1 in like 2 million. But you are able to like enjoy other things in life, and that's definitely, I think, what you should be building your sort of like your life or your goals, so towards that, something that's enjoyable to you, and just enjoying your life and enjoying yourself. Because not everything's about work. Like work should be enough to actually to afford like to afford a living wage. Yeah, sure, like I should be able to, my work should definitely allow me to work and then have a balanced lifestyle, but I shouldn't be like working all the time, because then again, it's like, so what are you doing with your life? It's just like work? No, like again, you have to enjoy the perks and the benefits of work, of supposedly working so hard, right? And even if you feel like, oh, some people may like do not, I don't know, like it's just like it's to me, it's a thing about like there's more to life than just like work and being at your job and just like thinking about work like 100% of the time. Because again, it's like there's more to life than this. Like you need to be able to like do other things, whether that is like a hobby or I don't know, just enjoying your life. Again, just enjoying yourself, even if it's not just, no, I'm not like, I do not like to travel, I do not like to take vacation, I don't know, but something else. You have to like do something else with your life and find other things fulfilling besides this, besides the grind and the whole like, yeah, the grind never stops hashtag. It's like, what are you doing? Seriously, it's not leading to anywhere, and you're kind of like, you're like they said, like people are like that really, you feel like, yes, and if I work hard enough, like this is gonna lead somewhere. It's like you're just like falling into the propaganda, because you're not, that's not gonna happen. That's why you should definitely work towards like having something, other fulfilling things in your life, because it's not just about jobs and about like your work. Like your work should not be your life, simply put. Like that's just like a capitalist dream, and you shouldn't like, no, do not do that, because that's just going to benefit someone else and not just you. So again, it's like more people should definitely open their eyes. Is it going to change their lifestyle? Is it going to make a change in society in general? Who knows? Probably not. But it's good that more people are actually like waking up and like seeing, like, no, this isn't right. If it's gonna change, I don't know, like ask me in 10 years, but or maybe probably even longer. But it's crazy out there. That's all I'm gonna say. But that was it for today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.